Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Eva J's Mystical Messages, and we're on day 21 of the meditation. And I have to turn these pages back so that I can start. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're on day 21, and I have actually, through the meditation, I've actually decided what I'm going to call the next group of meditation. So I'm working with these in groups of 21. It kind of makes it easier, and it kind of keeps things a little bit balanced and stuff. So where I'm going with this is going to be really interesting, but I think that I'm going to continue with the individual guides. It seems to be working the best, and I really am enjoying the conversations and doing the one-on-one thing. So this is day 21 of the new cycle, which is not so new anymore because we're on the last day of it. Day 21, today is March 12th, 2025, and I'm just going to get started on the meditation. I started a video a few minutes ago, and then I had to stop it, and then I just decided to delete it and start over because one of the responses got very, very messed up and from my reading it, and I had to go back and make corrections and fix it up so that it would read more fluidly. So I'm going to start over, going to give it another try, and here we go. So we're day 21, March 12th, 2025. Things have gotten pretty intense with this. Ramón says, yes, and they will get even more so. We, meaning Nigel, Sunshine, and I, have much to share, and in these times where the timeline is seriously accelerated, you can bet everything that this is not going to slow down. I said I didn't think it would. Ramón, what do I need to know today? What messages do I need to share? Ramón says, you are doing okay. All of you watching this are doing okay. Sometimes it needs to be said. Contrary to all of the things happening around you, it is absolutely imperative that you stop, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to have a moment. The notion of batteries has been mentioned by both Nigel and Sunshine, and while they may not illustrate the notion of cause and effect, it is vitally important for each and every person to allow themselves to recharge, to step away from the goings-on in the world and feel that sense of peace. Yes, things are accelerated. Yes, things are difficult and, dare I say, challenging. But the hope is there. It is not all gloom and doom. The notion of change is not a scary boogeyman. It is not something to fear. People the world over fear change, but at the same instant, they fear the future. There is an awful lot of fear going on, and one of the most significant things going forward is to do so unafraid. Fear is like energy source for the dark energies. It can suck all the good and all the hope out of you. When you sit in fear, you are basically saying, what if? What if the economy fails? What if I get sick? What if I lose all my money? Guess what? Saying what if is like offering up an affirmation. So instead of going into this with that questioning, asking yourself, what if? Ask yourself, what will I do once I step out into the sunshine? What song will I sing? How will I do if I take this trip? What can I do with this extra prosperity? Affirmations are a huge part of determining where you will go next. Change should not be something to fear simply because change is going from one room to another, or packing a suitcase to go away for a while. People talk about having a change of scenery, but they don't even seem to realize that a change in attitude is also just as, if not more important. I said, yeah, but some people can't afford to pack up a suitcase and go away. Ramón says, fair enough. Then if they cannot do that, pack a picnic basket instead and go to a park. Allow yourself to view something beyond that which is familiar. Sometimes what people need is the chance to look at something different. If they are unable to do even that, then close your eyes and allow yourself to sink into this idea of being in another place. What some people call daydreams is actually a great springboard. Whenever you feel stressed out, just close your eyes for a few minutes. Imagine yourself at a lake. Allow that place to fill your senses. Put yourself at that lake's edge and feel the warmth all around you. When you sit down at the edge, you can feel the cool earth beneath your body. You can feel the breeze brushing up against your skin. See the sky overhead, blueness with soft white clouds all around you. Imagine the form of the clouds. Do you see animal shapes in the clouds? Can you taste the honeysuckle in the air or smell the scents of nature all around you? Can you hear the bird song as it fills the air? How do you feel sitting in that place or imagining yourself there? I said, it's nice. As you spoke, I could actually feel these sensations. Ramón says, yes, and energetically, it is recharging you. The ability, no matter where you are in the world, that simple exercise can open doors to that feeling of freedom. Do you think that people like Nelson Mandela or Henry David Thoreau were not able to tap into this particular kind of energy? I said, I think that's what kept them from going crazy when they were in captivity. Ramón said, exactly. That sense of freedom became significant because it was the freedom of the mind. This is, in essence, what meditation is all about. Prayer is about you as a human being speaking to the source. Meditation is about the source speaking to you. I said a lot of religious people would scoff this off. They would say that God doesn't speak to normal people. Ramón says, downgrading people is a form of control. This is really why many of the great masters in divinity did not consider themselves to be religious. The act of being religious means turning one's power over to an authority figure. The pledge of obedience to authority is why many people are trapped in this rapidly accelerating timeline. Look at the role of women in society. Did you ever notice that the role of women in a religious history have been downplayed? Eve was responsible for the fall from grace. Mary Magdalene was considered a working girl with all the implications affixed, and so on and so forth. The value of women have over the years been devalued because of masculine insecurity. When men become so insecure with themselves, they decided that the best way to counter that was to enforce some level of control over the women. This became the only way that they could feel important, by enacting rules and laws over women to bring out this self-importance. What it ultimately did was show just how weak-minded they really were and how futile these attempts were proven to be. When men one day wake up and realize that women play a significant role in society, it may be too late for them. I said, Ramón, what do you see happening with this false masculinity? Ramón says, the lessons of this will create a whole, not a figurative whole, but a sense that these men will not be able to reproduce, and their misogyny will ultimately die out. I said, but there are so many men who still believe that women are second-class citizens. Ramón says, yes, and how many of them are signed up at far-right dating apps. They want to date and experience a social life, but women in general are simply not interested. And these who take part in this patriarchal system will have their choice of 3 to 5 men. The numbers of these men and the women who subscribe to this ideology will ultimately die out. Even if they have children and bring them up in that philosophy, these children will have a hard time adjusting to this. They will ultimately become as inbred as the royal families of Europe did during the Middle Ages. Either that or these kids will rebel against the ideology entirely. There is only so many people who will put up with this sort of thing. This gets back to change. Are you afraid of this change of women stepping into their power? I said, no. Ramon said, then there you go. This is but one of the changes you can look forward to. The other change that you can look forward to is dependence on community. The idea that people can rely on others. There is nothing inherently wrong with reliance on self, but the act of being able to rely on others is also important. Knowing that someone will be there for you when you need help is a blessing. This is part of the lesson that people in the U.S. are now learning. They are discovering that instead of solely relying on themselves or their partner to make it through any difficult challenge, they can also rely on their community. When you were going through cancer, who did you rely on? I mean, besides your husband. I said I relied on my family here. I couldn't rely on my family in the States, but I knew that I could rely on my in-laws and my husband's brother and his family. Ramon said, who else? Who outside of your family? I said I could rely on my clogging club. When I was at chemo, I couldn't go to choir rehearsals. I had to stay away from a lot of groups, so I could rely on my friends in those other groups. And clogging was one of the ways that I could because we weren't so closely tied to each other. Ramon says, yes, the people in those communities were important during that stage of your life. You were able to get through the treatments through the support of the community. It is not a surprise to you that you had the treatments, that people surrounded and helped you. You found that element of support. Do you think you would have done as well if you only had the family in the U.S. to support you? I said, I think you know the answer to that. Ramon says you should just say it. It is a simple yes or no question. I said, okay, the answer is no. And Ramon says, why do you hesitate giving an answer when you knew it all along? I said, it's sad. I would like to think that every person who must contend with breast cancer would have that support from their families. But sadly, from my own family, I didn't. But from my husband's family, I did. And Ramon said, yet that support did not come from your family. I said, is there a reason why they didn't do anything to help me during that time? Ramon says, you already know the answer to that question. It is fear. Fear that because this happened to you, that it could happen to them. They disengaged themselves from you because they figured that in acknowledging your condition, that it might actually have an impact on them personally. I said, it's not catching, you know. Ramon says, true, but the one thing that concerned them was how close to home it hit. Look at one of your relatives. She had a close friend who had breast cancer and saw what her friend went through. She could disengage herself as just being supportive because deep down inside she knew that her friend's condition would never happen to her. Now look at you, her close relative, who was diagnosed with the same condition. Now, instead of being disengaged from the disease, she is seeing that genetically the disease could hit her head on. When you spoke openly and freely about your condition, about the fears and issues that you had with it, you took it head on. You were not in denial that you had this condition. You said, I have it and I'm going to handle it. Suddenly, the person who always talked down at you was facing this and handling it like a champion, and she was left as a virtual ball of fear. I said, did she have a cancer scare? Ramon says, yes, she did. The emphasis should be on the word scare. As you said often, you did not have a scare, you had the real deal. This is why the old native saying applies here, do not judge until you have walked a mile in someone's moccasins. The act of caring for someone who is facing a challenge does not mean that a person should act like a smart aleck. But the act of compassion cannot be understated. This is why people cut ties with toxic people when they face this sort of event. Life-altering events bring these kind of changes about. This is where the ideas of a blessing in disguise come in. People's lives are now in a state of being altered, and it will be a choice of each individual person to choose what path they will go down, what people they continue to have in their lives, and what people they will let go of. This is why the U.S. is now where it is in the sense of isolating themselves from the rest of the world. They will bear consequences, the same as the far-right men will not find a compatible partner. By extension, the far-right believers in the red hats will not find that community because they are too far into a rabbit hole to actually be reached. This is specifically why the intuitive community to which you are now a part of is saying, lean on the community. Take heart that that will pull you through. The same as your groups and community pulled you through cancer, the communities will pull the people in the U.S. through this trying time. That is the hope in the message. And while the message from Sunshine yesterday seemed rather harsh, it is important to remember that the sense of connection and community will see you into the next level. I said it will, and I have just decided that the new group of meditations will be called Into the Meadow. Ramón says, I like that, and I look forward to moving forward with you. I said, I do too. Thank you, Ramón. And he said, my pleasure, sweetheart. So that was the meditation for today. This was a really great way to go from one group of meditations into the next. I think I am going to continue with the one-on-one conversations. They seem to do the best, and they seem to work the best. Having more than one guide talking at once gets not really confusing for me because I know who I'm talking to, but it just seems to work a lot better to do it this way with the each individual guide, so that I can get a different perspective each day and work with it. But if you have any ideas on what you would like to see me do with the meditations, I'm pretty open-minded about this, and I think that it's a pretty that some slight changes in the pattern of it might be needed. But I will be open to suggestions. So if you have any, please let me know in the comments below. So I thank you so much for being a part of this. I thank you for watching, and thank you for being with me throughout the entirety of these meditations. I almost said medications, but meditations. And I really am grateful to you, to everyone who subscribed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The funniest thing is with the subscription numbers, they go from 75 to 76, back down to 75, back to 76, and so on and so forth. It's kind of weird. So I don't really take much stock into how many what the numbers are. I just take stock into if you like the video, or if you comment about the video. So if you have something to say, please let me know. And please like the video. I mean, that would be just amazing. Please like the videos if you like them. If you like the messages in them, give them a like. It doesn't take but 2 seconds to do, and it is muchly appreciated. So with that said, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of this, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the going into the meadow with me. So take care, and as always, namaste.